You say you like soil better. Why is that?
Why is because it's really funny. It's like cocoa growers are constantly working back to create a humic layer in their cocoa to balance out everything.
If you haven't checked out our monthly membership, I highly recommend to do so. Just for $2.99, your questions get sent to the top for quick replies. I'm asking for a little more support to build up my war chest so that I can continue to keep giving you open and honest reviews, and we can further defend our right for free speech. Thank you so much, everyone.
You can Google it, forum it. I mean, I've been telling these people for over a decade now. And I'm like, bro, you are buying something that's in a bag that's sterile, and then you're adding back your humic layer, which all you're doing is getting back to soil. And they're like, no, but yes, yes. Okay. So I don't know. I just don't fight it. Did that make sense? Does that make sense at all? What I said on that?
Yeah, it does make sense because I've been having a hard time with Coco right now.
Hey Mark, what do you think about gypsum? I use that gypsum in my grows too for calcium with the worm casting.
So calcium sulfate. For me, like I love sulfur. I have sulfur and I love calcium. You know what I mean? So I don't see why there's a problem. You have gypsum, you have dolomite, which is calcium carbonate, and the reason why I like the dolomite probably more than the gypsum would be because when the microbes eat it, it releases CO2. So it helps and that's why it actually controls your pH and raises your pH in many levels too. So I kind of am always thinking about what the microbes are eating, but they're just different purities of calcium. If I remember straight, like calcium sulfate or gypsum is just a higher pure form of calcium carbonate.
Correct. Yeah, it's like 97%.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really just marketing again. We're just talking about marketing right now. Like they say, oh, it's a higher purity by 1%, so we're going to call it another name and jack up the price $10.
Right.
There's also in a lot of dry amendment products, people do not list everything that's in the box for mainly for more for reasons that they can't fit it on the box. And every time they label something on the box, it could cost them more in regulatory fees. So you might be giving like, I don't know, don't hold me to what I'm saying. I'm just coming up with the name like insect flask, but you don't know that it might have 5% calcium in it or 10% calcium. So there might be additional calcium sources in some of the other amendments you're using that they're not listing, and that's why it's also if this is a nutrient line you really like, you want to call the company and double check, say, hey, is there anything else, or Google and just say, hey, is there any other amendments or micronutrients in insect class or this or that, because a lot of companies they're going to market it for NPK, but they really want it for, what do they call it? For the pesticide. You know, people are going to use it for the pesticide qualities, not for the calcium or for the NPK. Same thing with crab meal, right? So can you accept that there is calcium in crab meal?
Yes.
Or can you accept that there is calcium in shrimp meal?
Yes, because it all comes from the shells, right? It all comes from their shells.
Exactly. So why wouldn't there be calcium in insect glass?
Well, there would be, because they use the black soldier fly shells, so there would be.
Exactly. You hit it on the dot, but they don't list it there. So my point is that you want to grow by grow, and this is as your grows. I hope you guys own like 500 acres of land in the next 10 years. That's my goal, right? So instead of you scaling up needing an extra product, you might not need it. You might be able to cut it out now, and because something else is offering the same thing. And that's my point.
Good point. That's a good point. Thanks, Mark.
No problem. Appreciate you guys. So the second tab is the tab that will hopefully get more interactive with you over time. This one is going to have links to videos like nitrogen, right? And hopefully over time I'll have a nitrogen video. You click on it and you're like, okay, I know what a nitrogen deficiency is now, because it references either pictures or videos. Okay. Phosphorus, potassium, so you're going to be able to see these things hopefully over time. And the reason why it's important to know what they look like is because when you're feeding your plants, you want to kind of record the deficiencies on a week by week basis, or or toxicities or problems or whatever. Why this is going to be beneficial is this is set up for dry amendment, but when we change around it will be for your liquid. But when you are feeding your plants and okay, I have proper pH, I have good water, and I'm feeding the feed schedule, but then something's off, and whatever it is, there's a deficiency. Well, you end up noticing, let's say it's a magnesium deficiency, and say that's on week 5, right? Well, at this point, you can come back over here and you realize, okay, I'm running into a magnesium deficiency. These are the nutrients I'm using right here. And you're going to be able to reference, the goal is to reference your nutrient bottles that you have quicker so that you can fix the nutrient deficiency, right? Oh. And then next time you grow the strain, you're going to know that this plant, after you kind of get in a relationship with the plant of whatever strain you're growing, hopefully you grow the same strain multiple times, or you grow the strain 1 cycle and then you grow the strain 2 cycles later or whatever. You'll be able to come back and see, okay, I ran into a deficiency in week 5, with magnesium. I know I'm going to need to increase my magnesium in week 4. And does that make sense?
Yeah, a lot of sense.
By that time, you skip deficiencies, you're going to increase your yield. Basic.
Exactly. Because you already seen it coming, because you've seen it before. You
saw it before. Exactly. And then over time, you hopefully will and this is really simple, right? I could take this thing right here. Once you get a link to it, you can come right here and just download a copy for yourself. So you're not going to get the master, but you're going to get a copy of the master. And then over time, you can as simple as just duplicate. I can duplicate this soil tracker, and then I change the soil tracker name over to Blue Dream, right? Blue Dream pH Perfect Advanced. Let's say you're using that, right? So now you have a record of growing a strain with a specific nutrient line. You become more familiar with deficiencies and toxicities when they show up in the plant. And then next time you grow this strain of grain, you'll be able to come back here and have some data point of how to better maneuver before problems even arise, right? Because you're more familiar with it. You can remember what's happening with that strain.
Got you.
Does that make sense?
It make a lot of sense, because every strain gonna react different to different nutrients at different times.
The reason why I'm recommending people not to flush anymore is because over the years of getting in the 4 years of extraction side that I was getting into, more on the R&D, the testing, all this stuff, one of the observations I made was that there was more chlorophyll that was coming out of the initial extraction